It's 7:46 p.m. Law enforcement pulls up to a car crash scene, but the driver, she's just gone.
Vanished.
Yeah, vanished. Nobody inside the car, nobody nearby. All that's left is this damaged vehicle, a cracked windshield, oh, and an empty beer bottle out there in the New Hampshire snow.
Just silence.
Mm-hmm.
An incredibly eerie silence where a person should have been.
We're taking a deep dive today into a case that honestly just gets under your skin. The disappearance of Maura Murray.
Mm-hmm.
If you're drawn to true crime, to those mysteries that just stick with you, this one is, well, it's a masterclass in baffling circumstances.
It really is.
So our mission here is to piece together that chilling timeline, look really closely at the evidence, what there is of it, and explore the different theories that have kept people talking for, what, 2 decades now?
Almost 21 years.
Wow. But, ultimately we have to face the chilling reality here. This case is still completely unsolved.
And that's what makes it so compelling, isn't it? It's not just another missing person file. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. But with half the pieces missing, and the pieces we do have don't quite fit together.
Yeah.
You've got conflicting stories, strange details, just no clear answers.
Yeah.
It's a genuine study in suspense. And interestingly, people have called it the first crime mystery of the social media age.
Right. I've heard that. How does that factor in?
Well, it shows this double-edged sword, Public fascination keeps the case alive, definitely. But it also generates so much noise, so many theories, it can actually complicate the official investigation.
That makes sense. So for anyone unfamiliar, Maura Murray was 21, a UMass Amherst nursing student. And she disappeared after a single car crash in New Hampshire, February 9th, 2004.
Just vanished off that roadside. Today, we're
Yeah.
really going to unpack how truly perplexing that disappearance was, and maybe understand why it still haunts so many people.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the mystery of Maura's disappearance, we need to understand who she was, right? What was going on in her life before that night?
Absolutely crucial context.
She's described as, smart, athletic, ambitious, came from a close Irish Catholic family. And her academic path is interesting, too. She started out at West Point.
Studying chemical engineering.
Which is incredibly demanding, right? Intense discipline needed there. But then she transferred, went to UMass Amherst to study nursing. That's quite a shift.
It is. It suggests someone capable of really high achievement, clearly. But maybe also someone dealing with, significant internal pressures. Or just searching for a different path in life.
And does that change connect at all to what happened later?
Well, if you look at the months, and especially the days leading up to February 9th, you see this pattern emerging, a pattern of behavior that really suggests someone under immense stress.
Troubling behavior is how it's often described.
Exactly. It wasn't just one thing. Back in November 2003, just a few months before she vanished, Maura got into trouble for credit card fraud.
Oh, wow. What happened there?
She admitted using a stolen credit card number apparently found on a receipt to order food from several restaurants. She had a court hearing scheduled for that in December.
How serious was that?
The charge was actually set to be dismissed after 3 months of good behavior. So it seems like she was trying to keep it off her record. But still, it indicates a lapse in judgment, maybe stress-related, maybe financial. It's hard to say for sure, but it's a crack in the discipline image.
Definitely a serious thing for a student, especially one who'd been at West Point. And the stress seemed to ramp up just before she disappeared.
Oh, significantly. Just 4 days before, on February 5th, 2004, she had this breakdown at her campus security job.
What triggered that?
It was right after a phone call with her older sister, Kathleen. Her supervisor found her totally zoned out, unresponsive, crying. When asked what was wrong, she just managed to say, "My sister."
Just my sister.
Yeah. And the full story behind that call didn't come out until years later, in 2017. Kathleen revealed that she, Kathleen, had relapsed into alcoholism that night. She'd just gotten out of rehab, and her fiancé had taken her to a liquor store.
Oh, man. That's heavy.
Imagine Maura carrying that burden. Knowing her sister was struggling so much, it wasn't just everyday family stuff. It was a deep emotional crisis for his sister.
That kind of turmoil, combined with the credit card issue, it paints a picture of someone maybe nearing a breaking point, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It suggests a state of mind where maybe impulsive decisions, even desperate ones, become more likely.
And there was more, wasn't there? Another incident right before she left.
Yes. The day before she disappeared, Sunday, February 8th, she crashed her father's car.
His Toyota Corolla.
That's the one. She's driving on Route 9 in Massachusetts, hit a guardrail, caused nearly $10,000 in damage.
$10,000? That's serious damage.
Very. And what's really notable here, and maybe concerning in hindsight, is that while an accident report was filed, There's apparently no documentation of any field sobriety tests being done.
Hmm. No sobriety test, given what happened the next night.
Exactly. It raises immediate questions. Was she impaired then? We don't know. But the lack of testing is interesting, to say the least.
And there was also a strange phone call early that morning.
Right. Another layer of mystery. At 5:36 a.m. on that Sunday, after the crash, an 11-minute phone call was made to her boyfriend from her father's cell phone.
Do we know what they talked about?
No. The content of that call remains completely unknown. Neither her dad nor her boyfriend has ever publicly said what was discussed. But think about the timing right after one car accident, after this distressing call with her sister. It just adds to this picture of someone potentially spiraling.
Caught in a whirlwind of personal crises.
Yeah. There was a comment on Reddit about this case. Someone put it pretty bluntly. They said Maura was, quote, making bad decisions leading up to February 9th, and it only makes sense that she continued to make bad decisions after the crash.
That's harsh, but you can see the logic. A pattern of escalating issues.
It certainly looks that way from the outside, piecing it together now.
Okay, so that's the backdrop. A lot of stress, some questionable choices, maybe some desperation. Now let's get to the day she disappeared. Monday, February 9th, 2004. Because her actions that day, they seem surprisingly deliberate in some ways, calculated even.
They do. It's a strange mix of planning and secrecy.
Right after midnight, she's on her computer, searching MapQuest.
Directions to the Berkshires in Massachusetts and also to Burlington, Vermont.
So she's planning a trip north, clearly, but maybe hasn't decided exactly where. It seems exploratory.
It does suggest she was considering options, not locked into one specific place yet. Then later that day, her communication is interesting. At 1:0 p.m., she emails her boyfriend. Says she didn't feel like talking, but that she'd call later.
So pushing him away slightly, but promising contact later. Not cutting ties completely.
Exactly. It's ambiguous. But then, just 24 minutes later, 1:24 p.m., she sends emails to her professors and her work supervisor.
And this is the crucial one, isn't it?
It really is. She tells them she'll be out of town for a week because of a death in the family.
Which her family later confirmed was not true.
Completely fabricated. This is a clear, conscious decision to create an excuse for her absence, buying herself time before anyone starts looking for her.
She's creating a false trail.
Yeah.
And she kept looking into travel options, too.
Yeah, she made phone calls that afternoon. One was about renting a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire, a place her family used to vacation. Another call was about hotels in Stowe, Vermont.
So still exploring those northern destinations. Bartlett, Stowe, Burlington, the Berkshires. She's heading north, maybe looking for familiarity, but hasn't booked anything specific.
Correct. Then we have the last confirmed sighting of her on camera. 3:40 p.m., she withdraws $280 from an ATM. Surveillance video shows her alone.
Okay. Cash in hand.
Right after that, she goes to a liquor store. Buys about $40 worth of alcohol.
And again, seen alone on the store's camera.
Yes. The alcohol purchase is significant. Bailey's, Kahlua, vodka, a box of Franzia wine. It's quite a bit for one person.
Raises questions, doesn't it? Was it just for her trip? Was she planning to meet someone? We just don't know.
You don't. But it suggests she was planning for something more than just a quick drive.
And she wasn't traveling light either. What'd she pack?
She packed clothing, toiletries, her college textbooks.
Textbooks. That's odd for a week away due to a family emergency.
It is odd. Also packed birth control pills and, significantly, accident report forms from the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
Accident forms from the crash the day before.
Presumably. She packed all this into her black 1996 Saturn. And back in her dorm room, things were noticeably packed up. Most of her stuff was in boxes, pictures off the walls.
Like she was moving out, almost.
It definitely suggests an intention to be gone for a while. Maybe the week she mentioned in the emails, maybe longer. But the textbooks, the packed room, it feels like more than just a short break.
Her last known cell phone activity.
Checking her voicemail. 4:37 p.m. that afternoon. After that, silence.
And nobody knew where she was actually going.
No indication she told anyone her destination. No evidence she'd even definitively chosen one. It's this combination of meticulous preparation for leaving but complete secrecy about where that makes it all super plexing. What was she thinking?
So she drives off, prepared for a trip, destination unknown to anyone else, and then Route 112, Woodsville, New Hampshire, around 7:27 p.m.
That's when a local resident driving home hears it. A loud thump.
Sees Maura's car, the black Saturn, up against a snowbank.
Right. And this is where things get murky almost immediately. The initial 911 log apparently mentions seeing a man smoking a cigarette inside the car, but the person who called 911 later clarified. Said what they saw was actually just a red light inside the car. Maybe from a cell phone, maybe something else. Not a person.
Wow. So right from the start, there's confusion, conflicting information.
Exactly. It sets the tone for the whole investigation, really.
Mm.
Then, shortly after, another car stalks.
This is Butch Atwood, the school bus driver.
Yes. He pulls over, sees a young woman, presumably Maura, walking around the car. She looks cold, shivering, but he doesn't see any obvious injuries.
And what does she say to him?
This is critical. She pleads with him not to call the police.
Doesn't want the police involved. Why?
She claims she's already called AAA for roadside assistance.
But she hadn't, right?
No record of any call to AAA exists. So another lie, seemingly to deter him from calling authorities.
Why lie about that? Was she afraid of getting caught? Maybe driving under the influence after the crash?
That's the most common assumption, given the previous untested accident just the day before.
So Atwood respects her wishes initially.
Well, there's no cell service right there, so he couldn't call from the scene anyway. He drives home, maybe 5–10 minutes away, to call the police. His call gets logged at 7:43 p.m.
Okay, 7:43 p.m., Atwood calls the police. But this is where the timeline gets really messy, doesn't it? With Witness A.
Extremely messy. Another local resident, Karen, often called Witness A, she claims she drove past the scene around 7:37 p.m.
So before Atwood's call was logged.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Right around that time. And she said she saw a police SUV already there, parked nose-to-nose with Maura's car.
Wait, a police SUV already there at 7:37 p.m.? But the official log says the first officer arrived at 7:46 p.m.
Precisely. That's a 9-minute discrepancy, a huge gap in a critical window.
9 minutes where? If a police officer was there earlier?
It changes everything.
Right.
But regardless of the exact arrival time, 7:37 or 7:46, when the officer officially logged his arrival, Maura Murray was gone. The car was locked. She had vanished.
Okay, let's talk about the car itself and what was found, or not found. This is crucial.
Absolutely. The car, the Saturn, had hit a tree pretty hard on the driver's side.
Yeah.
Left headlight smashed, radiator pushed into the fan. It wasn't drivable.
Windshield cracked, airbags deployed.
Both airbags, yes. And inside and outside the car, there are these red stains. Police believed it was red wine.
Consistent with the box of Franzia wine she bought.
Right. They found a damaged box of Franzia on the back seat and also an empty beer bottle somewhere in or around the car.
What else was found inside? Stuff she'd packed?
Yeah, her AAA card was there. Those blank accident report forms she'd packed. Gloves, CDs, makeup, some diamond jewelry. Directions to Burlington, Vermont.
Her favorite stuffed animal. I read that was there too.
Yes, that was recovered. And a book not without peril. It's about the dangers of mountain climbing in the White Mountains.
Symbolic, maybe? Or just a book she was reading?
Hard to say. But what's missing is just as important, maybe more so.
Her phone? Her cards?
Gone. Her debit card, credit cards, cell phone, all missing. And none have shown any activity, not a single ping or purchase since that day.
That's significant. What about the alcohol she bought?
Some of the bottles were missing too. The Baileys, the Kahlua, the vodka, it seems they weren't in the car.
Okay. And then there's the rag.
Ah, yes. The rag in the tailpipe. One of the most bizarre and debated details of the whole case.
What exactly was it?
It was described as a rag, thought to be from Maura's own roadside emergency kit, found stuffed into the muffler pipe of the Saturn.
Why would someone do that? What does that even mean?
Nobody knows for sure. Was she trying some desperate makeshift repair? Did she think stuffing a rag in there would help somehow? Or was it put there by someone else? To disable the car further? To signal something? It makes no sense mechanically.
And the rearview mirror was missing too.
Also missing. Whether it broke off in the crash, or maybe during some kind of struggle, or if it was already missing. Again, just another unanswered question.
So you have this chaotic scene. A disabled car, deployed airbags, spilled wine, personal items left behind, crucial items missing, and this weird rag. What does it all tell us? Why turn down help only to vanish into thin air?
It's baffling. Every detail seems to pull in a different direction, leaving us with more questions than answers about her final moments there.
Let's really dig into these frustrating parts, the unanswered questions, the conflicting details that just keep this case from finding any resolution. That disputed police arrival time feels like the biggest one.
It's arguably the most critical piece of the timeline puzzle because it defines that window. How long was Maura actually alone there before help or something else arrived?
The official log says 7:46 p.m.
Right. But as we mentioned, Witness A, Karen, puts a police SUV there much earlier, around 7:37 p.m.
And her account isn't just a random memory, is it? There's some technical analysis that backs up her timing.
There is. People online, particularly on forums like Reddit, have done deep dives into this.
Yeah.
Witness A made a voicemail call later that evening, logged around 7:52 or 7:54 p.m.
Okay.
The drive from the crash site on Route 112 to where she could get cell service is estimated to take about 15 minutes, driving normally.
So if she made a call at 7:52,
Working backwards, it means she likely passed the crash scene around 7:37, 7:38, maybe 7:39 p.m., which aligns perfectly with her claim of seeing the police SUV there then.
wow, that's pretty compelling timing.
Yeah.
Almost a 10-minute difference from the official record.
A lifetime in a situation like this. And it's not just Witness A. Remember the Westmans, the couple who first called 911 about the crash at 7:27 p.m.
Yes.
They estimated the sequence of events they witnessed. Butch Atwood arriving, talking to Maura, leaving, Maura moving around, then the police finally arriving. Their total estimated time from the crash, about 11 minutes.
Which puts police arrival.
Around 7:38 p.m. Again, much earlier than the official 7:46.
So two separate witness timelines pointing to an earlier police arrival.
And there's more. Faith Westman made a second 911 call. She was actually still on the phone with the dispatcher when the police cruiser pulled up.
She saw them arrive while on the call.
Yes, and the dispatcher submitted the report for that call at 7:40 p.m. If Faith was describing the police arrival while on a call logged at 7:40, they must have arrived before 7:40.
Okay, that seems undeniable. The dispatch log itself supports an arrival before 7:4.
It strongly suggests it. And even the responding officer, Cecil Smith, his own accident report, apparently had a time discrepancy about 6 minutes off from his dispatch time. If you adjust for that internal inconsistency, it also points to an arrival around 7:39 p.m.
So multiple sources, witness A's timing, the Westman's estimate, the second 911 call log, even the officer's own report when corrected, they all converge around 7:38 or 7:39 p.m.
It certainly looks that way, which makes that official 7:46 p.m. time seem highly questionable.
If the police did arrive earlier, say 7:38 p.m., what does that actually mean for the case? What are the biggest implications?
It drastically shrinks the window of opportunity. Maura crashed around 7:27,
Right.
which Atwood leaves around, say, 7:35. If police arrive just 3 or 4 minutes later to 7:38 or 7:39,
Yeah.
that's an incredibly short time for her to have wandered off into the woods and vanished, or for someone to have abducted her unseen.
It makes both the succumb to the elements theory and the abduction theory harder to fit into the timeline, doesn't it?
It makes them much tighter, much more difficult to explain logistically. Now, these discrepancies are often put down to human error, dispatchers juggling calls, bad radio signals, manual logs. It doesn't necessarily imply anything nefarious.
Sure, mistakes happen.
But, mistake or not, it fundamentally complicates our understanding of those first crucial minutes after Maura was last seen. That missing time is a void right at the heart of the mystery.
Okay, beyond the timeline, let's go back to that rag and the muffler. It's such a strange detail. Part of her emergency kit stuffed in the tailpipe.
It's baffling. What possible reason could there be?
Was she trying to fix something? Is that even a thing people do?
Not really. It wouldn't fix any common car problem. It might eventually cause the engine to stall if it blocked the exhaust completely, but it's not a logical repair. Could she have panicked and just done something random? Maybe?
Or was it put there by someone else?
That's the other possibility. Someone trying to ensure the car couldn't be driven away easily? But why? The car was already disabled from the crash.
Someone on Reddit pointed out that if a perpetrator put it there before the crash, it probably would have fallen out during the drive.
That's a good point, suggesting it was placed after the crash. But by who? Maura herself in distress, or someone who encountered her at the scene. It's just adds another layer of weirdness. Does it point to her state of mind or to outside interference? Impossible to say.
And then there's this whole issue around the three men, another murky area that caused friction.
Yeah, this came out later. Reports surfaced, apparently from notes related to an Oxygen Network documentary, that Maura had been introduced to three men on the Saturday night before she disappeared, 2 days earlier.
And the family says they weren't told about this.
The Murray family claimed this information was withheld from them by investigators for years. They were understandably upset, saying they didn't know who these men were or if they had any connection to her disappearance. It fueled their sense of frustration and mistrust about how the case was handled.
But was there more to it? Were these men investigated?
Well, that's where it gets complicated. Other sources, including online communities and some investigators, claim that the police had actually identified and interviewed these men years ago and cleared them of any involvement. One was apparently a relative of Maura's friend, Sarah.
So a known connection interviewed and cleared, but the family wasn't informed.
That seems to be the disconnect, whether it was a deliberate withholding of information or just a lack of communication, or maybe the police didn't deem it relevant once they were cleared. Who knows? But it highlights this ongoing tension, this lack of transparency that has really plagued the case and allowed speculation to fester.
Why the secrecy if they were cleared? Could they have known something about her plans, her state of mind, even if they weren't involved in her disappearance? It just leaves more unanswered questions hanging out there. Okay, when someone vanishes like this, theories inevitably pop up to try and explain the inexplicable. Let's walk through the main ones for Maura, keeping in mind none have been proven.
Right. It's about weighing the possibilities against the few facts we have.
The first one, which police initially leaned towards, was voluntary disappearance, that Maura chose to leave.
Yeah, based largely on her actions before the crash.
The emails to professors with the fake family death,
Packing her dorm room, packing the car,
MapQuest searches for different places up north.
and crucially, telling Butch Atwood not to call the police and then disappearing before they arrived. It does paint a picture of someone actively trying to get away to avoid contact.
You could argue, given the stress she was under the credit card issue, the sister's relapse, the car accident, maybe she just wanted to escape it all. Start fresh somewhere.
That's the argument for it. The desire to escape seems plausible given the circumstances. However, the arguments against voluntary disappearance are pretty strong, and they've grown stronger over time.
Like what?
Well, first, as that Reddit user said, there is zero evidence Maura was intending to start a new life. Pulling that off successfully takes incredible planning, resources, help, and luck.
And she didn't have many resources on her, right? Her cards and phone were missing and never used.
Exactly. How do you start a new life with $280 cash and nothing else? Especially now, in the digital age. Her case is also incredibly high profile. Could she really remain hidden for over 2 decades? It seems highly unlikely.
And her family doesn't buy it at all.
Not for a second. They emphasize how much she cared about her loved ones. They firmly believe she would never have stayed silent, especially through major family events like her grandparents passing away. The idea that she'd voluntarily cut off all contact forever just doesn't align with the person they knew.
Okay, so if voluntary disappearance seems unlikely, what about the second theory? That she ran into the woods near the crash and died from exposure or an accident.
This is often seen as the most tragically plausible scenario, given the location and time of year.
Route 112 is remote, heavily wooded. February in New Hampshire is freezing.
Absolutely. Arguments for this theory include she was likely impaired, possibly intoxicated from the wine, panicked about facing police, maybe another DUI. Fleeing into the woods, even in the dark, might have seemed like the only option in that moment of fear.
And she was athletic, a runner. She could have covered some distance.
Right, she had endurance. Adrenaline could have pushed her further than you'd think. And the danger of hypothermia or falling and getting injured in the dark is very real in those conditions.
It seems logical on the surface, but this theory has huge problems too, doesn't it?
Massive problems. The biggest one. Where is she?
Exactly. Why haven't her remains or any trace clothes, backpack, anything been found in over 20 years?
Extensive searches were done right from the beginning, with tracking dogs, cadaver dogs. The ground was snow-covered. Initially, footprints should have been visible, at least for a while, but nothing conclusive was ever found.
And over 2 decades, hikers, hunters, landowners, nobody has stumbled across anything.
It seems incredibly improbable. Even if animals scattered remains, you'd expect something to turn up eventually. A bone fragment, a piece of clothing, nothing.
And the tracking dogs, didn't they suggest something else?
That's a crucial point against the woods theory. The tracking dog followed her scent, but only for about 100 yards east along the road from the car. Then the scent just stopped, vanished.
Like she got into a car.
That's the strong implication. The dog lost the scent abruptly on the pavement, suggesting she didn't turn off into the woods nearby, but rather entered a vehicle right there on the road.
Okay, so if she didn't leave voluntarily and probably didn't disappear into the woods, that leads us to the third major theory. The one her father, Fred Murray, strongly believes.
Foul play. That Maura was abducted, likely by someone who stopped on Route 112, and that she is no longer alive.
This theory has gained a lot of traction, hasn't it? Almost by process of elimination.
To a large extent, yes. When the other explanations seem increasingly unlikely, foul play becomes the most reasonable, though deeply disturbing possibility for many.
What supports this theory?
Well, Maura's personality, sometimes described as a risk-taker, might have made her accept a ride from a stranger, especially if she was panicked and desperate to get away from the crash scene before police arrived.
And it could have happened fast.
Very fast. In those few minutes between Butch Outwood leaving and, well, whenever the police actually arrived, a car stops, offers a ride, she gets in. It could take seconds. That might explain why nobody saw anything.
The perpetrator wouldn't necessarily need to be some serial killer,
No,
right?
it could have been an opportunist. Someone local, maybe someone who saw her vulnerability, perhaps someone who then tragically harmed her and was able to dispose of her remains somewhere private, somewhere searches wouldn't easily reach, like their own property.
Which would explain why no trace has ever been found.
It would. And the complete silence, no phone use, no bank activity for 2 decades, strongly points towards her not being alive and in control of her own affairs.
And law enforcement's view has shifted too, right? They treat it more seriously now.
Definitely. Handing it to the cold case unit in 2009, calling it suspicious, treating it as a potential homicide. That was a big step. And then the FBI getting involved more recently, creating that VCAP profile in 2022.
VCAP, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Profile.
Right. Creating a VCAP profile strongly implies law enforcement believes foul play is likely involved. It's used to track violent offenders and link cases across the country.
Have there been any specific leads pointing to foul play suspects?
There have been things, but nothing concrete. Remember the rusty knife?
Vaguely. What was that?
In late 2004, a man gave Fred Murray a knife, said it belonged to his brother, who lived less than a mile from the crash site. This brother apparently acted strangely after Maura vanished, maybe even scrapped his car.
Okay, that sounds suspicious.
It does. And then, a couple of years later in 2006, cadaver dogs apparently reacted strongly, went bonkers, was the word used in the closet of an A-frame house nearby, a house formerly occupied by that same brother.
Suggesting human remains had been there.
That was the implication. It generated a lot of hope. But then, years later, in 2019, they finally excavated the basement of that house and found absolutely nothing.
Wow, another dead end. So, tantalizing clues, but no proof.
Exactly. And that's the argument against foul play, really. While it seems plausible, there's no direct evidence. Statistically, stranger abductions in remote areas with short time frames are rare, though not impossible. And after all this time, no credible sightings, no confession, no physical evidence linking Maura to any specific person has emerged.
What about the idea she was meeting someone? A tandem driver?
That theory has been floated, but there's just no evidence for it. No calls arranging a meeting, nobody seen with her at the ATM or liquor store. It remains pure speculation. So, like the other theories, foul play remains unproven, just perhaps the least unlikely explanation left standing.
So here we are, almost 21 years later, Maura Murray vanished. And despite massive investigations, huge media coverage 2020, Disappeared, that Oxygen series, and just armies of online sleuth digging into every detail, we still don't know where she is or what happened.
It's a stark example of how challenging cold cases truly are.
How do cases like this even get solved after so long?
Often, it's down to what a RAND Corporation report called opportunistic breakthroughs. A new piece of DNA technology, a witness finally coming forward after decades, an unexpected connection to another case. It's often not just steady investigation, but a bit of luck or a fresh perspective.
That report also mentioned issues with how cold cases are handled generally.
Yeah, things like inconsistent tracking of results, focusing on clearing cases rather than securing convictions, and the tough decisions about allocating limited resources. How much time and money do you pour into a decades-old case with few leads? It raises difficult questions about the ultimate goal. Is it just justice for the victim and family, or protecting society, or even providing closure for the investigators themselves?
And the lack of accountability sometimes.
That can be a huge source of frustration for families like the Murrays who feel shut out or ignored.
And Maura's family, especially her sister Julie, they haven't given up. They're still fighting.
Tirelessly. Julie runs a website, she's active on TikTok, she has her own podcast, Media Pressure. She's fiercely dedicated to keeping Maura's story alive, pushing for answers, dissecting the evidence herself.
It just shows the devastating, ongoing toll these cases take on families, living in that limbo, never knowing.
It's unimaginable.
Yeah.
They're constantly battling not just for answers, but also to maintain Maura's dignity against sometimes harmful online speculation and victim blaming that unfortunately crops up in true crime circles.
Maura Murray vanished almost 21 years ago. Was it a calculated escape from a life that felt overwhelming? A tragic accident in the vast, unforgiving wilderness? Or did she, in that vulnerable moment on a dark highway, crossed paths with someone truly sinister.
Someone who ensured her silence.
The truth, whatever it is, remains lost somewhere in those cold New Hampshire woods, a chilling silence that echoes through the lives of everyone touched by that night. And the sheer amount of missing information, the unanswered questions, they guarantee Maura's case will continue to haunt us, a stark reminder of how easily someone can simply disappear.